Welcome to Alaska Family Connection. I'm Hunter Mizar. I have the privilege of being District Superintendent of the Alaska District. Today, I'm in Band of Brothers here in Wasilla, sitting down with Pastor Joe of the Palmer Church. And I am sure of this. Many people across the district know who Joe is. He
in a good way.
In a good way, yeah.
Thank you.
I don't think you fly under the radar at all. I think you are well known. But I just want to, open with this story, if I could.
Yeah.
I didn't know Pastor Joe very well, although we've shared similar backgrounds of ministry. I come to find out in places that we live. A little shout out to our friends in Oakdale. I'm sure they're going to be watching this.
That's right. And you'll see the picture of the church.
Yeah.
Because you're going to insert it.
Right. Yeah. So we hadn't really met. And then as I'm brand new to the scene, you invited me out to dinner with your wife and my wife, which was very kind of you.
That's right.
So we got together. And when I walked in, not having ever met you before, and it was busy that night. It was crowded. You reached over and hugged me, and I thought that was a little strange. Right. Two dudes that never met each other hugging, but hey, I'm not against the hugs, whatever. But the hug lingered.
You're against long ones.
And it just kept lingering. To which waitresses had to get around us, customers couldn't get around us, and I felt uncomfortable, to say the least.
At least it didn't get any worse.
To which then you whisper in my ear, "Is it uncomfortable yet?" And I said, "Yes, it was."
Yeah.
And then you held me even longer in your arms.
Yeah.
So that was my introduction to Joe.
And now you're cherishing that
moment.
then,
cherish, that's one word.
Yeah.
So that was my introduction to Pastor Joe. And that was good. So here's what's interesting, is I find this to be true across the district. Not necessarily everyone was like me in that they had a call in the ministry as a teenager in their youth. And so it wasn't always on people's radar. And you actually had a whole nother career before becoming a pastor. So I don't know how many people know this, but you were a police officer in California.
And that's true, too.
Talk to us about how did you get this call then in the ministry? Because I got to imagine there was some fulfillment, and there was probably some things that you enjoyed about the work that you... How long were you a police officer over there?
Almost 15 years.
Wow.
In California, 2 different agencies. And when I first got into law enforcement, so I'll try to be a quick story of it.
Yeah.
Didn't grow up in a godly family at all. Good family, but not godly family whatsoever.
Yeah.
Didn't even really have much of a comprehension of the dynamic of God. But my neighbor, Gilbert, the dad, I had my best friend, his dad, became a Christian when I was, I think, in 6th, 7th grade. And from watching him through high school and seeing the transformation in his life, right? Yeah. From an alcoholic and a drug user to just a solid man of God, was really my introduction into who God was. And so at the age of 19, went to a Christian play with him. He invited me. He actually became like my friend, and him and I were spending time together. Accepted Christ, and just before that, I had joined the Army Reserves.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Primarily because I had gone to the Navy recruiter, and you got to picture me at this time with long pink hair. If anybody remembers, the mid-'90s is the highlight of the Pauly Shore era.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And that was me. Like, I wanted to be that guy.
Okay.
And so I went to the Navy recruiters, and they actually said they weren't hiring, which I didn't know that's not a reality, a real thing. But
I feel like they're always trying to recruit.
Yeah, that's how bad it was.
Okay.
So the Army guy was like, we'll recruit you. So
was it just because you didn't know what you wanted to do?
I had absolutely no clue.
Hey, this seems
half of my friends went to the Navy, which is why I went to the recruiter there, and the other half went to college. And so I was literally, and I hate to use this phrasing, but I was a loser, like literally hanging out with my best friend's dad.
Wow.
And so ended up joining the Army, And right before I went to basic training and everything, I became a Christian, which was just, you go back and you start seeing God's timing and stuff.
Yeah.
And separated me from my friends, went through the training, started to get into a deeper relationship with God, came back, got a job as a police officer then, because there's this mindset, as a Christian, you serve, as military you serve, law enforcement you serve. And so God was developing this heart of service. And the first police department that I worked at, Livingston Police Department, you guys will see the picture of that too. Right? You're putting these in there. Okay.
Sure.
Because then you got to put another one that started going to the Atwater Church of the Nazarene, where Pastor Rodney Wyckoff was the pastor. So there goes that church and then that one. So I'll quit on the whole images that you're putting in there. But so Pastor Rodney Wyckoff was my pastor, and he's the one that actually kind of helped me walk through what God was doing in my life and this call to ministry, right? So there's this progress from salvation to sanctification and what that was looking like and trying to understand it. And so I got my local license there. And then as soon as I got my local license, he actually leaves and goes to another church. So I'm kind of,
And did you have a sense in those beginning days of what that call looked like? Was it to preach? Was it to be an associate? Was it to work with youth?
Yeah, I had no clue.
Okay.
It's just I knew that
just God had a calling.
Yeah, and I think if you're a pastor, maybe you can relate to this. If you're somebody in the congregation, then maybe this is something that maybe that's what it's like. God was saying, I'm not calling you to just be a congregant. There's something that we have, and there's a journey, and so kind of went through that progress. But I was still a full-time police officer, right? Yeah. Married. We just had our son and daughter twins, and so I'm like, I'm living a career.
Yeah.
But God's leading me to do some ministry stuff, and so I'm on staff, volunteering or part-time.
Yeah.
Go to the next church over, serving part-time. Still a police officer this whole time. Until we finally end up in Oakdale. And when the pastor that was there had left, I kind of filled in as the interim for about a year.
Okay.
And the more time that I was spending doing ministry, the tougher it was to spend my time doing law enforcement.
Yeah.
And so there really became this almost a frictional dynamic in that, where it was clear that God was not going to allow me to progress in law enforcement.
Yeah.
And that was frustrating.
Yeah.
But then it was like, so where does that look like? And you're kind of battling this. What do I do? Where do we go? And so we all sat down as a family, my bride and my 3 kids, and we said, okay, if we were to go into ministry full time, where are some areas that we feel we would go? And so we all wrote down different places, districts in the United States.
Yeah.
And as long as all 5 of us had a matching district, then we would say we were open to
Now,
that.
did you and your wife both grow up in California? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you had some roots there.
Yeah, everybody's there. Well, they were. Now everybody's taken off. But,
yeah.
I mean, and we actually...
So there had to have been a strong pull to say, let's stay in California.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was... I thought, right, from my godly wisdom, was like, yeah, God's not going to move us from here. We're just going to stay where I'm born and raised.
Yeah.
And I remember when Alaska was on the list... And we had called Pastor
Which
Paul.
is much different than California.
It's a bit different, yeah. Right? Particularly, Paul, who was the DS then, said, well, I have a church available in Cordova.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, well, let me, of course, I've never been to Alaska. I just knew that it was a state.
Sure.
So I pulled up the image of it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I can guarantee you God's not calling us to Cordova. So, of course, then you have your wife who's generally speaking.
And I think they're actually thrilled in Cordova.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, if anybody from Cordova's watching this, rejoice in the Lord, right? Yeah. But then, you trust in your wife's discernment, and she kind of, gave me the hey, if we're going to do what God wants us to do, we have to go wherever God calls us to go. So it's like, fine.
And that's tough.
Yeah.
That's easier.
Yeah, especially if it's Cordova, right? Yeah. And so called him back and said, hey, we'd be open, to going through that door. And he's like, great, that door's closed. Mm-hmm. But it just, the timing worked out to where Palmer was available.
Yeah.
And I mean, besides temperature change, really, where we came from, Central Valley, California, is a very similar feel to Palmer, Alaska. And so, I've been up here 11 and a half years now. But
I've had some close friends in my years of pastoring that were in law enforcement and corrections, these sorts of things. And there's almost this sense, if you've been in it for a long time, you don't trust people. And there's like, people have ulterior motives, and there's almost like a negativity. Not that I don't want to throw my friends under the bus, but there is that kind of around, law enforcement types of people. To jump then into pastoring, where it almost feels like we're optimistic about people being transformed by Christ and His grace, where we want to believe the best in people. Is it hard coming from one profession into another that, to me, almost seems to hold different values? I understand both come from the mentality of serve, but you can get jaded.
I think the word, like when you were saying that, I didn't even think about it before, but I think the word's discernment. Yeah. Both of them require discernment. Yeah. And I think it sounds funny maybe to say it this way, but maybe the only real kind of distinction I see is it within the law enforcement, you were leading them to jail, and here you're leading them to the altar, right? So I think you're still having that discernment, because I think for the most part, like as a police officer, I think you're still hoping for the best in people. Yeah. But it's just you're always dealing in difficult moments and hard things that you have to interject. But then you look at ministry. Yeah. It's the same thing, right? Like you're hoping that everything, is great and, nobody in the church has any problems, but, that's not the case. They're like coming to you saying like, hey, guess what? I sinned again. And you're like, seriously? Right. So I think discernment is probably something God helped build into me of seeing that. So. Yeah. So you minister in Palmer. Yeah. And Palmer, if you don't know,
is the greatest church. Is the home of the Alaska State Fair.
Right, but we're talking about Palmer Family Church being the greatest church.
Well, I hadn't been to the fair since I was in.
You can say that too on video, and if you want, they don't mind. I mean, everybody knows it, right? Go ahead. Sorry, the fair, and I don't remember it being as big as it has now become. Yeah.
I mean, what is unique about Palmer other than the state fair? I mean, when people let's just talk about the community of Palmer. Yeah. It's grown a lot since I was here in the 90s. Right. So people have come more to the Matsu area, I think, to get a little bit away from Anchorage, and they're willing to commute. But what's unique about Palmer?
I live there.
Yeah, that is unique.
No, one of the dynamics of when you say Palmer, it really is an expansion, because the city itself isn't a huge, I think maybe 6,000, 6,500 people in that city limits. Mm-hmm. But then you have the greater kind of Palmer area, and then there's, the Wasilla. And so Wasilla itself as a city population is maybe a little bigger, 9,000. But the total community, I think, is over 100,000 people now. And so there's this uniqueness to where you have a very small town feel, but with a lot of the amenities that you'd otherwise. Well, I'm sure some people that are saying we don't have the amenities that they want, but it really is it is a small town feel. It's very community oriented. Yeah. What I love about it is there's a lot of different personalities and styles and beliefs and cultural dynamics, and everybody's okay with it. And it's like, if you want to believe that, that's great. Yeah. I believe this. And we're not forcing each other to have to adopt to anybody else's beliefs. But at the same time, if I see that you need help, I'm going to help you. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the beautiful things. They're in our community, I think, a really good, just a friendship kind of people. I mean, you have your outliner people that stir stuff up. But for the most part, like, everybody just gets along. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of nice. Even within the context of the church structure, there a lot of communities, you kind of can feel in the ministry dynamics like you're fighting each other, to try to grow your church type of mentality. Mm-hmm. And I think up here there's a pretty good feel that PFC is not my church. It's God's church. Right. The church down the road is not that person's church. It's God's church. And so we all kind of work together in that confine that we can build each other up and not feel intimidated by the other. So that's kind of a nice ministry feel within our community too. Is it's more of a partnership than a competition. So
you have a great philosophy of ministry that I wish more pastors would buy into, and that you have a heart to figure out where are places and people in the community that no one's ministering to, and how can we minister to them. Too often we see churches just trying to figure out how can we have a shuffle and steal sheep from other, and that's not healthy. That's not a good model.
Right.
Many people know about your playground.
Yeah.
You have this amazing playground specifically for special needs folks, and you really have embraced this idea of there's a whole community that's been neglected. I mean, where did that come from? Tell us a little bit about the background of
that. So my wife will say that I kind of grew up into that, a bunch of different relationships that I had from a child growing up, that there were people with disabilities that I never even registered. I mean, I understood that there was something there that was a little bit different, but they were just like people to me. So I never necessarily thought in that realm of disabled or special needs or anything.
Yeah.
And I forget who it was, but we were doing some kind of be a better church session, right? So I don't know who it was, came up here.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, do these things and you'll be a better church type of mentality. But it was like this time, it was like, just spend some time seeking from God, what maybe he would have you do or go. And so I was like, okay, it's a free time to text my wife or whatever, go take a nap or something. And it's in that time that I God, again, it's the work of the Holy Spirit in you that does this, where it's like, where is the church not in your community?
Yeah.
And so as we begin to look around, we're not a large congregation numerically, and so to try to, like you were saying, go into the realm of let's just have a better Easter egg thing, or let's have a better vacation Bible school, or let's have a better trunk or treat. We're just not going to do it.
Yep.
So why even, and if we did do those things, we're just going to be competing for the same people that everybody else is competing for, as opposed to where is the church not reaching out? And we recognized pretty quick that it was in the disabilities community.
Yeah.
And an amazing thing in that was majority of people that either have disabilities or have loved ones with disabilities want to be a part of the church. They want to be a part of community. And so we're like, okay, so if nobody else is doing it, we can do the worst job and still be doing the best job at it. And so I was like, dude, we're the best at special needs ministry. We're knocking it out of the park, even if we're terrible.
Yeah.
And so, but when you begin to say yes, God starts opening those doors.
Yeah.
And it's just been amazing that all the different avenues that God, and it really is God. You're saying, oh, this park, which is a beautiful park.
Yeah.
Did it almost honestly in spite of me. This is great stuff. It was done completely funded and built historically faster than any other place. It's like, this is amazing. And I'm along for the ride. And it's like, this is sweet, dude. Now I get to be in interviews, and be like, yeah, there's this great park. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just literally, if you say yes to God, he'll do stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, awesome. I mean, it's hard work, right? I don't want to make it we don't, there's a lot of people that are engaged and involved and doing a lot of stuff, but it's like, if God's leading the way, let's go.
Yeah.
So.
And now, what a blessing it's been in your community.
Huge.
I mean, how many people would you say a year ago?
I think it's probably better to go off of a daily, when the weather's good. Yeah. I mean, anywhere from 300-400 people every day.
That's amazing.
Yeah, coming in there, and so you calculate that.
And I love that you guys have let the community be a part of it. You don't have it gated off, and you don't say no, it's only for church folks.
Yeah. I got to get onto my congregation during the summer sometimes because there's the windows that look out into the playground, and so I'm up on the stage preaching, and you see these people, out looking out the window at the playground. I'm like, hey, pay attention. I'm like, dude, you can go play on the slide when I'm done. I mean, you're 63 years old. You don't even do So, what do you do?
But you took it a step further. So you offer respite, babysitting, And do you like a Special Olympics? Maybe tell us some of these things that you do.
Yeah. So from that, like it started like a seed plant from Beacon Hill, which is a family support organization that we actually house them at the church facilities as well. And they had like a $10,000, let's build a better playground than we had, because we had like this old broken down playground. And so we took that, started to dream, and it ended up being, the park that we have now. And right before we built that, actually, we had done an event called Night to Shine, which is a prom night for people with special needs.
This is a national event. This is
global.
This isn't just like an Alaska thing.
Right. Yeah, through the Tim Tebow Foundation, we partnered with them and started hosting the Night to Shine, and we saw that it was so successful, not only for the guests, but for their family members that got to see their families experience it, and then for the volunteers.
Wow. But
it's just a one-night-a-year thing. And so we're like, we need something that has a little more staying power, that has some regularity to it. And so that's when we started thinking about the park. And so we got that up and running. And then again, it's like when you say yes, God starts to add stuff. And so we have Palmer High School, which is right around the corner from us, and their special needs or special education classes contacted us and said, hey, our students need work experience exposure. Do you guys have work experience projects and jobs that they can do? So now we actually host Palmer High School special education students that come over and actually do work at the church, getting paid by the school district and learning valuable skills. And then we're there building relationships with them. So we did that, and then we realized how important it was for families to have a night off that have have young kids with disabilities. And so that's Recess. We partnered with a ministry called 99 Balloons and started hosting one night a month right now.
And that's every month you do it?
Every month, yeah.
Wow.
We bring them, except for February, because we're doing Night to Shine.
Yeah.
And so, they bring their kiddos in. We provide one-on-one care. The parents go and do whatever they want to go do. Spend the evening, if they want to go sit on a couch at home, have at it. And then we watch their kids and hang out. And again, it's a blessing to the kids, but it's like the volunteers that do it. I mean, they leave, I think, more excited than the kids do, of getting to be a part of it. So, it's just slowly, God continually taking steps, moving us forward. There's a adult living home that utilizes the parsonage that we have on the property as a care home, and so they have some folks that live there with special needs as well. So it's just constant.
That's awesome.
Yeah, constant. It's good stuff.
You're one of our more veteran pastors. I mean, you've been on the district for quite a while. You've been at church for quite a while. I'm just curious, where do you sense that the church, bigger idea, is going? Because you're one of those leaders that I think is innovative. You're willing to think outside the box. And I think it's fair to say, when you started in Palmer, the way that we minister is looking different than where it is now. What are some challenges that you're just sensing that leaders need to think through, that you're wrestling with in your own spirit of how do we keep moving forward? How do we still stay relevant without compromising who we are?
Oh, man.
Easy question for
you. Yeah, what do you think?
Here.
I think whatever you think. Right? I don't know. I mean, just this is for me, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody's going to be different, but there's a couple of things that I look at in Scripture. So I like what Paul said one time, where he says, follow my example as I follow the example of Christ.
Right.
So in that context, do whatever, as long as you're following Christ. Then that's great. Like if it can be whatever it is. And then he says in another passage that he has an unceasing anguish for those that are lost.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm all things to all people so that I might lead some to Christ.
Yeah.
And so to me, I look at the dynamics of how do we do ministry, as long as it's not illegal, immoral, unethical. There's nothing that's stopping us.
Right.
And so like, that we're meeting here at Band of Brothers, and we were talking a little bit earlier, that just having this facility, maybe it's not a Sunday morning, 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, come sit down in a seat, listen to some songs and sing them and listen to a prayer and a message and then go and that's church. Like, that used to be church. And it's still part of
right.
the church, right, and coming together. But for me, it's like we can step outside of what that looks like today.
Yeah.
Because it didn't look like that, hundreds of years ago. It looked different then compared to what it is now, and it's going to look different in a couple hundred years than what it looks like now. So, in that sense, I mean, there's no end, and I think knowing your community, right, is going to be huge, right? So, so what might be effective in Anchorage isn't going to be effective in Two Rivers. It's not going to be effective in Ketchikan. It's not going to be effective in Nome. Like, know your community. Ask yourself, where is the church not, and then be there.
Sure.
And you can be the worst at it, and then still be the greatest. It's like, can't lose. Is that, I guess, is that a good answer?
Yeah.
All right.
Now, you changed the name. It wasn't always Palmer Family Church.
Right.
And then you intentionally changed the name. What was the thinking behind that?
Well, so I didn't change it.
Oh, I thought you did.
We changed it as the church.
Okay.
Because it's not my church.
Right.
It's God's church.
Right.
But I think leading that, I guess, that conversation was, again, helping us to identify who we are as a community.
Right.
And our community is a very family-oriented community. And now that doesn't mean mom, dad, and 3 kids. That means, like I was talking about earlier, you may have a different worldview than I do. You may have a different religion than I do. You may have a different, political look or whatever.
Right.
But we're going to build community relationship. We're going to become a family to each other.
Yeah.
And so if you're a single person, living around here, you can come be a part of this family.
Yeah.
You're welcome to be here. You can look different. You can act different. But it's a family environment that we found ourselves in. In this community. And so for us, it's important to identify with the community that we're a part of, right? And so that's where that really, I think the heart of that came from. And then it lends
There
itself,
seems to be a real balance to me when I go to your church of it's not just one type of demographic.
Right.
I mean, I see youth, I see kids, I see seniors, I see middle age. I mean, that's really great to see just multi-generations and different types of people there. I mean, there's not like a specific niche. I feel like there's a pretty broad spectrum of things. Yeah,
and we monitor that pretty good. So like if we get a certain amount of like middle-aged people, then we're like
send them down the road.
Yeah, you're like, you're gonna have to go somewhere else. We're trying to keep a balance here. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because we don't monitor any of that. Like we're not.
It does feel very organic.
We're not trying to track any of the. I mean, everybody like then this literally like our a couple of our core values, right? Like we're unapologetically Christian. So we're not a social club. We're not there to. We hope you feel good, but that's not our goal. All are welcome, and so we don't care who you are. You're welcome to be a part of PFC, and our compassion has no limits. And so we'll try to go out of our way to help people in whatever situation they are. May not be the way that they want it. But trying to give the best aid that we can. We may say, well, this is how we can help you. If you like it, great. If you don't, I mean, good luck. Go find something else. But that's a huge one. And I think one of our missional, we call it missional goals, is conversion growth. So we're not trying to put on a good show. And I particularly don't care to have consumers coming to church. I want contributors to come to church and to realize, initially if you come and you're a consumer, that's I get it. And, you're new or whatever. We're not trying to get people from other churches to come be a part of this church by doing fancier things or whatever. Our heart is to care for people in our community, invite them to be a part of the family with the intention that they're going to convert from non-Christian to Christian, to come into a relationship with God. And so it's like constantly just trying to get them closer, right? We don't save anybody. I can't save anybody. But if we can help somebody who's, far away from God get closer to God, God does the work and transforms their lives. So that's a big part.
One of your sayings that I hear all the time is, we're not fancy, we're family.
Yeah.
And you really have embraced that model.
Yeah. Look at me.
Well, I feel like too many churches try to figure out how to be slick.
Right. Yeah.
And and they're just,
Yeah.
That's a bad game to play.
Yeah. I'm not slick enough to be slick.
So, as people hear this interview and they think about the church, are there a couple ways that they could pray for Palmer Family Church?
I mean, like one of the, as you say that, I mean, yeah, you know, just all, and I hate to say it like generic, you know, just pray for PFC, whatever, but we try to implement this concept of pre-prayed. So like every time we're engaging in ministry, which for us isn't just Sunday morning, it's all week long. So right, like I mentioned, we have Beacon Hill, we have the Palmer High Kids, we have a couple different AA groups that utilize it. There's 2 different congregations that utilize the church. There's just so many different moving parts that the church is open 7 days a week. The facilities is open 7 days a week, and we're engaging people in ministry throughout the week. Our goal is to be pre-prayed. So praying continually for the opportunities and for the contacts and for the moments. And so, just pray. I'd say if we're asking, if you're going to pray for us, pray that God's people at PFC are pre-prayed to meet people where they are and engage them where they are. That's a big one. We're not we're not waiting for people to pray so we can go do. We're going and doing.
Right.
And so we could use the prayer all the way along.
Yeah. So that's great.
Yeah.
You had a great summer, I feel like. You sent a lot of teenagers to teen camp. Even there was a baptism out there. And there's some good things.
Yeah.
Really
all that, and I gotta say, all of that is like the collective of PFC.
Yeah.
I know there's this. What is the statistics that's kind of thrown out there? You know, that existed from 1840, where it's like 20% of the people do 80% of the work. For PFC, I really do believe it's probably like 80% of the people do a lot of the work, and so a lot of people are doing a lot of things to make things happen. And outside of my role of pastor, probably is like cheerleader. You know, people are like, they're doing God's work, and it's like, great job, keep it up, way to go, and just trying to look for those opportunities. So praise the Lord.
That is great.
Yeah.
Well, when you see Joe, you can approach him, but I would just advise doing it when Angela's around.
That hug distance.
So way Angela can monitor, because Joe's much better behaved when Angela's
That's
around.
Right. I get the look.
But at your own risk, if you don't see her around.
That's right.
No, really, Joe, you're one of our great pastors on the district. I really appreciate the work that you're doing, and you have a heart for Alaska. You have a heart for Palmer, and you have a heart for pastors and leaders. And I sure appreciated that about you. So thanks for the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you for watching. We'll see you real soon. Welcome
Are
to
you the one that starts?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'll start again. If that's
Okay,
all right.
then start it up.
Okay. It's gonna be a long take. I feel
Yeah. You're going to be amazed how many errors you're going to have to fix. Go ahead.
Welcome to Alaska Family Connection.
That was a good one. Go ahead. Go ahead. All right. Good job.
I love it.